I feel like my style is always growing, and sometimes I look back at old work and I'm like, wow, I don't know what I was thinking here.
Welcome back to Art Estate. I'm your host, Nicole Romanoff, and today's episode is a special one because we have our very first international guest on the show. Joining me all the way from Los Angeles, California is the incredible Joyce Charat, a fashion and beauty photographer originally from France whose work is bold, vibrant, and completely unforgettable. I first discovered Joyce through our mutual collaboration with ProPhoto, and I was instantly drawn to her creative eye and the way she approaches lighting. It's equal parts intentional and inspiring. In this conversation, we talk about how she made the leap from skateboarding videographer to fashion photographer, her thoughts on pitching big clients, navigating pricing and commercial photography, and yes, we get into the details of a shoot she did with a giraffe in Kenya. Truly wild. So whether you're dreaming of shooting fashion, building your portfolio, or learning how to land your dream clients, Joyce drops so many valuable insights in this episode. So grab a coffee, hit play, and let's get into it. I'm so excited to have you today,
too.
Joyce.
Thank you.
I absolutely love your work, and I really look up to you as another photographer and like what you're doing in terms of like educating other photographers as well. I came across your work we both worked with ProPhoto this past year, and I loved what you created with them. I think it was just so unique, and I love your shooting style.
You so
and you're my first international guest, so welcome.
Wow. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
So excited.
Maybe before we get started, just share like a little bit about yourself.
I'm a fashion and beauty photographer, and I'm based in LA, but I'm from France. And I moved here like 10 years ago, and I love it here. It's so many opportunities as a photographer. And I love to explore light, create with beautiful models, and love that. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you get your start in photography? Was it something that you always did, or did you always have a camera in your hand?
As a kid, I was a skateboarder. I was competing skateboarder, and I loved to film my friends. So I had like a little camcorder camera, and I would like record my friends all the time. And I told my parents, I was like, "Ooh, I want to go to a film school," because I did not even take pictures. I was like, "No, I'm not a photographer. I'm a videographer. I want to be a DP. I want to DP for movies." So I begged my parents. I was like, "Please, can I go to the US? Can I go to the US?" And they sent me to the US after a lot of begging. And I went to a film school, and I started studying film for 2 years. It's just like it was too much math for me, and I had to take too many classes to get where I wanted to go. So I was like, you know what? Let me try photography and take a Photoshop class and see how it's going. And I loved it. I loved taking a Photoshop class and manipulate images. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to a photography school. And that's what I did. So I went to a photography school, and then that's how I got started.
How long ago was that?
I went to photography school in 2017, 2017, yes. And I graduated like right before COVID in 2020.
And so you've been doing this now about five years professionally?
And 10 years just as a growing student.
Well, that's amazing how far you've come since then, like considering that there's been like a pandemic that's taken place.
Yes, so actually I used the pandemic to like jumpstart me and like, grow really quickly. I was actually doing so many test shoots during pandemic that I was able to experiment a lot with like lighting and like get more experience on set, So it was really good for me.
Yeah. How were you shooting? Were you doing the thing where people were kind of shooting virtually, or were you shooting in person?
I did that for like...
Am I allowed to ask that?
Yeah. I used to like take pictures of the model through the screen. I was like, wait, stay there. Or take screenshots.
Yeah.
But no, I did this once. I always wanted to have that in-person connection,
Right,
Yeah.
right. So have you always been passionate about fashion photography?
No. So I've always been passionate about visuals,
Hmm.
anything video, like films, fashion films, but not really into fashion. And I think
Hmm.
I like fashion because both my parents worked in fashion. So I got influenced, even if I rejected it. I was like, ooh, no. I wanted to be a tomboy. So I was like always in hats, baggy clothes. And my parents never
Yeah,
understood because they were always like, so like, very chic and
yeah,
very
done
high
up.
fashion. But I was the
Yeah.
opposite. And I feel like that's how I expressed myself fashion wise.
Oh, that's really cool. Like, are they still working in fashion right now?
No, 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 they're not. Not
No.
anymore.
How often do you go back home to Nice?
I go there like once a year. I'm going in
Yeah,
June, so yeah,
nice.
right
So
once.
beautiful there. I've
It
been there a
is.
couple times and yeah, it's like something else.
It is so
That's for
pretty.
sure.
Not for photographers, there's not many opportunities there, but
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Would there be in Paris?
Yes. So there's a lot of opportunities, but you really have to know people. So it's a very small
Okay.
niche of people, and it's also not well paid compared to the US.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's a lot harder to dig into it. But there's all the high fashion there. So
Right.
yeah.
Did you ever do Paris Fashion Week?
No, so I don't really do fashion weeks because
Hmm.
I'm more into photographing like campaigns or like music artists or like things like that. Not too much like the fashion shows.
Yeah.
I went to them before. I went to
Yeah.
Paris and New York Fashion Week. So far.
Were you able to get into the shows?
Some of them, yes.
It's kind of hard to get in, hey? Like, yeah, it's a lot of like you got to know the right people
Oh yeah. It's
to get
invite.
into those shows, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you learn all of the lighting?
Okay,
I'm
so
so curious about how you learned that.
yeah, I'm actually like a lighting nerd. When I went to school,
Nice.
when I went to school, I was like that girl that would stay in the studio like all the time and just like take a bunch of random lights and see how it works. So I would like,
Yeah.
take my cat, my boyfriend, my friends. I would like, can you just sit here for a second? I'm just trying to see something. And I would just
Nice.
experiment and see how light works. I've done like continuous light, I've done like different strobes, different modifiers, and I can understand lighting very well now. Like I can create
Hmm.
any lighting that I have in mind.
When you're doing a shoot, how do you decide what kind of lighting you want to use for it? Do you always go in with a plan or does it sometimes morph into something unexpected?
Yeah, so I usually create mood boards. So I
Mm.
have a set idea, and my mood boards usually are for lighting. Like I create like mood board for lighting, mood board for styling. So I cannot have like a set idea. And also I like to
Yeah.
create lighting sheets in my head before the shoot. Like before I go to sleep, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put one light here, one light there, use this modifier. So I have the whole lighting set in my head before the shoot.
Yeah.
So I usually come
Do
on
you have a
set
preference
modifiers,
like
I mean.
hard or soft light? Yeah. Yeah. What are your top modifiers?
Honestly, I love both. I can't pick between the two because sometimes, like 2 days ago, I had a beauty shoot and I used very soft light. But a month ago, I had like a beauty shoot and I had used very hard light, and I love them both. So I just can't decide. But in studio, my favorite modifier, I use the 4-foot Octobox by Profoto. I really
Yeah.
like this one. It's really nice.
Nice.
And
Is that the one that's has the built-in speed ring too?
yes, the
Oh
clip
yeah.
one,
It's
yeah.
the best.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you always used pro photo lighting?
No. So before that, I was using Broncolor when I
Yeah.
was going to school. And because I saw everybody was using Profoto, and I was like, ooh, let me be different and use the rival Broncolor, you know? And something happened to me with brown color that made me never want to touch it again. So now I
Oh
only use,
no.
yeah, I know the bulb like exploded out of nowhere.
Oh
I
wow.
know because it was older models and it just like
Yep.
exploded.
Geez, that's not good. And with Broncolor, do they have power? It's like has power packs with it, right? Like nothing is
Yeah, but I was using
plugging, like you
the
don't plug it into the wall.
yeah, I was using the battery operated one.
Okay, yeah. And so was that on set with a client? Were you working with someone at the time?
Test shoot. It was a test shoot, but it was
Okay.
traumatizing.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, wow, I don't know what
Okay.
happened. Everybody was shocked, you know?
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, that is shocking. It literally shocking. Um, so what is the industry like in LA? Is it a small like group of fashion photographers or what is it like there? I'm so curious.
You know, I feel like in the higher end world, it's very tight. It's very like maybe like a group of 15 photographers that all know each other. So it's very hard to get to that bubble, you know? But here in LA, it's so many photographers, but it's also a lot of opportunities. So I know like everybody have a chance, you know?
Right.
So
Yeah.
personally, I never compare myself because I know like I have one client that will want me, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, for sure. Do you have any dream clients in mind right now that you would love to work with in LA?
Yes. I have, well, they're not in LA, that's the thing. I have Balmain, it's like in
Oh,
Paris,
yes.
but they work in
Hmm.
LA so much, you know, so I can see myself with Balmain, Prada, you know, all these
Yeah.
higher end brands, you know?
Yeah. I could totally see that for you too with your style. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have like these dream clients in mind or clients that you want to work with, do you reach out to them and pitch them?
So, yes, I'm very, very big on pitching. I try to have one pitching day a week. And
Nice.
I create so many lists of dream clients, you know, and I have all their information and I contact them, then I follow up, and then I'm like 6 months later, 3 months later, I'm like, oh, hi, do you remember me? You know, here's my new work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pitching got me so many clients. It's actually crazy. You know,
Wow.
what was it, 2 months ago in February, Rock Nation flew me to New York because I pitched them like 3 days before. They were like, "Oh,
That's
you're available
amazing.
3 days. We need a shoot. We need a photographer." You know, I'm
Wow.
very strong believer in pitching.
What is your advice for people that want to start pitching or do you have any tips
Yeah.
that you found really helpful when it comes to pitching?
Yeah. So before even pitching, you have to have a strong portfolio. You know, a very strong website. You have to have it very clearly, like what you do. You can't be shooting product and then lifestyle and then beauty and then architecture. You have to have a very strong niche and your style. You can't have like just a bunch of different random pictures. So you have to
Right.
have a niche. Once you have a strong portfolio, you're ready to pitch. That's all you need, you know?
Mhm. I've heard like some horror stories from like pitching bigger clients. Have you had any experiences like that where it's just been kind of like crushing?
You know, back in the day, yes, because I would pitch to 100 people and then I would hear from zero and it would
Yeah.
crush me. But now, even if I pitch 100 people and I don't hear back, it would actually push me. Like I know they see me. I know they saved my information, you know. I'm not negative about it. I know like
Yeah.
I put a step forward, so they saw me and that's all that matters. They might have saved my information,
Right.
but I'm not aware of, you know?
I remember I went to a fashion workshop in LA and I'll never forget this. There was a photographer there and they were saying, I've always just thought that like those brands would just find me and that like they would book me. Yeah, you're shaking your head. No. And it's true. And everyone there was like, no, you have to pitch. Like if that's what you want, you kind of have to chase it and go after it. So I've never forgot that.
One thing I realized is that if you chase too much, it will run away. So it's good to sometimes take a step back, not pitch for 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, and really like refocus yourself. Like, okay, let me see what I can improve on. Is my website okay? That's the phase I'm in right now. I haven't pitched in like 3 weeks because I'm trying to see, oh wait, let me relaunch my whole website. I'm redesigning everything because I see some things that I can improve on. And then I'm like, okay, now I have even a stronger base and I can pitch again.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to get jobs because of that,
Right. Yeah, for sure. Do you have any like dream locations that you've always wanted to shoot in?
Oh, there's this place in Spain. What is it called? Canary Island? It's like a place where it's like,
Canary Islands?
yes. It's a place where it's volcano beach, like it's like all black sand and it looks insane. And I would love to do the editorial there. Maybe when I go in June, I'll try to get there and do something.
Yeah. Do you have a team that you typically tend to work with?
Yes.
Like for styling and makeup?
Yes. So as a fashion photographer, that's the rule number one, is to always, always work with people. You always have to have a team behind you because a photographer can't do like 10 people's job, You need a dedicated stylist, makeup, hair, photo assistant, So it takes off all the loads and you can focus on the creative aspects. Yes.
So when you get hired for projects or for commercial jobs, do you tend to bring your own team or do they have their own team that they work with?
So usually I bring my creative team. So that means my photo assistant, my digital tech, but I usually don't take care of the fashion aspect, like fashion, makeup, hair. They usually take care of it unless they ask me. If they ask me like, do you know anyone? I'm like, yes, I know so many people,
Yeah.
But usually I bring on my own team of creative. So photo assistant, that. Yes.
That's kind of nice, right? Because you all understand how you work together. And it's almost like you can communicate with not even like communicating at that point when you're constantly, working with the same people. It's nice to have that working relationship. Did you have a mentor when you first started? Or have you been completely like self-taught when it comes to like running your business and, learning photography?
Yeah.
Aside from your Photoshop class.
So actually, after I took that Photoshop class, I was in a community college and then I moved to an actual like photography art school. So I was there for 3 years. So that's when I learned deep lighting, deep Photoshop and all of that. We actually had to shoot on film for 1 year and we were not allowed to touch a digital camera. They were like,
really?
Go shoot on 4x5 and 8x10. That's it. We didn't even touch the 35 millimeter. That's how crazy it was. We were just allowed to shoot on large format cameras. Yeah.
And so what did you take away from that experience?
Yes. So it was very challenging. Honestly, I've had like maybe 30 breakdowns. Like it was really hard because we had to learn, zone system. It's like this lighting thing that doesn't even exist now because we don't need it anymore with digital cameras, but it's like to measure different part of the image, like with light meters, and it's like, yeah, it's very technical. Like, for example, there's one picture and you have to measure 45 points of light in the picture and then do some math about it. Oh my gosh. Yes. It's not something I would use, but I think it's a good thing to know because it really helps me understand lighting better,
Mm-hmm. Do you use a light meter when you shoot?
So I used to, but I don't anymore. I kind of like know, like, okay, if this light is at 8, the other light needs to be at 5. So I kind of understand now to like have it all balanced. Even on my camera, I would already know the settings that I need to be on, for
Right.
the shot to be okay,
Do you have like go-to settings that you use?
Yeah, I mean for strobe, usually in studio I'm like maybe like f7 or 5.6 like at the max. But yeah,
Yeah.
honestly I try to shoot pretty like even f11, you know. But then again, it depends. For the things that I'm going for, I can do like slow shutter or like fast shutter. It depends on what I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to get some
Right.
motion blur or for some very frozen action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the trends that you're seeing right now in terms of lighting?
So currently, I feel like a lot of people like to shoot harsh, very hard light, like on the street, just like one bulb of light right there. And I see that a lot actually. It's almost too
Mhm.
much, it's a bit overwhelming. And
Yeah.
I want to see more like exploration of light.
Are there any styles that you're experimenting with or want to experiment with?
I want to shoot outdoor on the street with like more lights, like multiple lights, color gels, to create a different world.
How many test shoots do you have like a set number that you want to do per month or per year sort of thing, or is it just when you have ideas that come to you?
So I never want to overwhelm me. So I try to do one test shoot a month, and even sometimes I skip a month if I'm too busy. But usually I set a goal of one test shoot a month, and I would make it very, very organized and high end. I would put a lot of time into it.
Nice.
Yes.
Would you submit it for an editorial at that point, or do you like for every project that you do, does it have a like a purpose in the end?
It depends. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, because like you have to pitch the editorial, which takes time. You're not getting paid for that. So you have to pitch the editorial, so you're basically wasting money and time. And
Right.
also sometimes it's not even worth it. It can be accepted in a magazine like Cosmopolitan Bulgaria, you know?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, is it really gonna give you exposure? Is it gonna help your career? I don't know.
Right.
So
Hmm.
I'm very picky about who I submit to as well. But I think sometimes it's good to submit your work to magazines just for to have the name. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on like the caviar um sites?
Yeah.
This might be an unpopular opinion. We'll see.
So I used to submit on there a lot. But one, they're asking me to pay to submit, which
Yeah,
is actually mind blowing because this is my work. It should be an honor for you to have my work in your magazine. You should be paying me.
totally. I know. It seems completely backwards, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I don't
Yeah.
believe in caviar unless you just started and you want to get a step into fashion and you want to have one
Hmm.
magazine under your belt. But honestly, I don't really believe in caviar. No.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have pitched to bigger magazines as well, right?
Yes. So I have a long list of, emails of magazines I can
Hmm.
pitch for. Even if I have a project with like a celebrity or a really cool concept that I want to do, I can just send it to them.
Yeah. So you have those relationships built.
Yes. I wouldn't say
Hmm.
relationship for all of them, but I have the information if I want to show them
Yeah.
something.
What are some of the magazines that you've been featured in?
I've been featured in Cosmopolitan, Sean
Nice.
magazine. I don't know if you know that one. In Rolling Stones, uh, Playboy magazine. Yeah, honestly, a couple. Yeah, I have certain magazines that I want to aim for this year. So,
Do you want to share any?
yeah. So there's Numéro, the French magazine. I mean, they have multiple
Yeah.
ones, but the French magazine especially. It's just really hard. I know them. It's really hard to get your step into it because it's a very
Right.
small. They always work with the same people.
Hmm.
There's Numéro. There's Harper's Bazaar. So many. I mean, of course, Vogue at some point.
Yeah.
Even if it's a foreign one, a French one
Hmm.
would be amazing. And I have
Right.
contacts in all of these magazines, so it's just a matter of time and right project.
What would you say the style of fashion photography is right now that's really kind of hot?
I feel like it's very raw, like not too stylized, like more like natural,
Hmm.
not too much retouching, very like neutral colors. But
Yeah.
also I feel like with AI, like it's starting to get a bit more edgier. I feel like it's starting to go towards
Hmm.
like my vibe more nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if you see that as well, like more like edgier.
Hmm. Do you
It's just
feel like your work is evolving? Like, do you see it year after year, like changes in your style or
yeah, I feel like my style is always growing, and sometimes I look back at old work and I'm like, wow, I don't know what I was thinking here. So
right? I know.
it's really good to grow. Like it's good to always think forward, and if I want to try something that I've never tried, why not? You know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
How do you stay inspired?
So I stay inspired by being very balanced. Like I'm very big on not overworking myself and also like doing things that I love on the side because I'm not only a photographer, I'm a human being, and I love to surf, I love to snowboard, I love to work out, being very active keeps my mind refreshed and always creative. So that's how I
Nice.
stay inspired by being very open-minded, traveling the world. Yes.
Have you ever experienced burnout?
Oh yes. Burnout
Yeah.
is a huge thing. Like it's you if you work too much, you're just gonna be drained. And that's a problem because you can't
Hmm.
really be creative, you can't really function, you're very tired.
Yeah.
So when that
Yeah.
happens, I'm saying no to a lot of things, like a lot of shoots. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just travel or go surf a bunch, snowboard, so I can at least, have a peace of mind, connect with nature, connect with myself, go to
Yeah.
meditation classes and all of that. Yeah.
So you're very active. Do you do any other sort of do you have any other creative outlets?
Mm, oh yes. I mean, I love to dance. That's
Oh,
yeah. It's very
nice. What kind of
spiritual,
dance?
like Afro dance.
Oh, wow. So have you always done that or is it new since moving to LA?
No, so it's actually like very new. It's been like 2 years. I
Yeah,
went traveling to Brazil for the carnival and I saw how people were dancing and everywhere. I was like, wow, I want to start dancing too. And then I started taking
that's so
classes,
cool.
and I feel like it's my creative outlet outside of photography and video.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of video these days or is it mostly photography?
So at every of my shoots, I try to do video.
Nice.
And I love to shoot myself, like shoot it myself, but I need to get out of my comfort zone and have other people shoot it for me. But
Yeah.
it's really hard because I want to be in control of the camera. Like, oh wait, no, do this, do this. I want a
Yeah.
low angle. So it's very hard, but I think I'm getting out of my comfort zone. Yeah.
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 When you take video, do you use the same camera that you shoot photography with?
Yes. So I use the same camera for both. I use the Nikon Z8.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like your images are so sharp and like
Thank you.
that must be like their top end camera. I'm a Canon user, but
Oh, okay.
so
It's a
but
very, very good camera. Yeah.
in most of your work, would you say that you shoot it wide? Like it looks like maybe like 24 or maybe even wider.
Yeah, so actually I feel like my style is like low angles and very wide. I like to
Yeah,
capture people very strong and empowered. And I feel like wide
totally.
angles is a way to make them like very tall, elongated, you know?
Yeah.
So actually use a 8 millimeter for some of my
Oh, really?
yes,
Oh,
FPI.
wow. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm thinking of one of your images right now, and it has like a giraffe in it.
Yes.
Tell me about this shoot. I'm so curious about it.
So that was earlier
Where was
this year.
it? When was it?
Yes,
Was it a creative?
it was earlier this year in January, and
Oh,
I wanted to go to Kenya. So my boyfriend was there. I wanted to go to Kenya because he was there, but it was so last minute, and I booked my flights like 3 days before the trip, and I was like, you know what? Let me just go. And I didn't have any plans. I didn't find no models, nothing. And I was like, let me just book like plan it on the go, And I
yeah.
just flew there, and I was like, oh, let me look for models. Let me look for stylists. And it was so hard because I was traveling to the beach side, and it's not the
Yeah.
capital, so it's not as many models. It's actually a lot of models, a lot of creative stuff happening in Kenya, but in the capital. It's so much happening.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like way more than LA. I was shocked. I was like, wow,
Really?
what is this world? Yes. It's so many
That
opportunities.
is surprising.
Yeah. So
Wow.
since I
In
was on the beach
Kenya.
side, I found models, but it was very last minute. And then the stylist flew from the capital of Kenya. And then we shot
Oh,
in this
wow.
park that was like, it was like a sanctuary, but it was a huge
Okay.
park. But the animals come because they get fed at a certain time. So it was
Yeah.
just a bunch of animals just sitting there.
Oh
And
my God.
the park rangers were helping us like get the animals around the shot, like, hey, come, come. They're giving food.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was
Wow.
really scary because they're huge. I was like, wow, they can just step on the model. I was like, please,
Yeah.
like give some distance. But it was
Yeah.
really, really impressive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Did those images get picked up for anything?
So they've been reposted on like different like African magazines, but nothing
Okay.
like very that I submitted for.
So for that shot, everything was just so crisp. Were you shooting at like a super high aperture, like f16 or higher?
I think I was like F11. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were using, did you bring some of your like Profoto strobes with you?
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
I put my little portfolio in my carry-on. I just left with carry-on, so I just like put it in my carry-on, and
Nice.
just shot with the beauty dish.
Yeah.
It's one light.
Which Profoto do you travel with?
So I travel with the B10X Plus.
Okay. That one's pretty small.
It's very small. It's like very tiny. It's really, really
Nice.
light and convenient. So
I
I
should
love to
get one of
travel.
those.
Yes,
I use the D2s, and so they're quite like big and
they're
heavy.
heavy. Yeah,
So they're not like super easy to transport around.
yeah.
But yeah, I love the light that
So good.
Profoto gives. I should
Mhm.
definitely have them as a sponsor for this episode.
Yes. Tell them.
Have to reach out to them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to editing your work, do you have an editor that you work with
Yeah.
or retoucher?
So I used to retouch a lot. I'm actually pretty good retoucher. Like I developed muscle for retouching. But I feel like now it's so time consuming that
Yeah.
I just would rather just hire somebody that does it, and I have multiple retouchers that can help me for that. And I feel like it just gets off the load. I just focus on creative and like talking to clients, and then I can have my retouchers take care of the retouching. And also for video, I have
Yeah.
an editor as well because I used to edit videos
Nice.
a lot, and I just give it to them. But it's a good thing
Hmm.
because I have a good eye for retouching and video editing. So I know exactly what I want, and I will know if something is wrong right away. So it's really
Yeah.
good to have an eye for retouching.
Do you color adjust your images and then send them off for retouching?
Yes. Yeah, I do the
Yeah.
color
Yeah.
grading and everything.
Yeah. I like having my hands on that too. I have trust issues, and so I can never just be like, okay, here, do what you will with it.
Same.
It's nice to have like a bit of that control for
Yeah.
sure. I found it really difficult to find a really good retoucher because sometimes I would send out work. And like you, I have really practiced that skill as well. And so I feel like I have also developed an eye for what is good and what isn't. And sometimes I would get images back and I'd be like, these, like, they're completely like blurred. Like, you could just tell, like, they didn't spend a lot of time on it. And they ended up kind of looking more like AI than anything. Do you have any tips for finding a good retoucher to work with?
Yeah. So actually, I found my retouchers on Behance.
Okay.
It's like a platform that for creatives. I think it's through
Yeah.
Adobe, I believe. Yes, it's through
Okay.
Adobe. And honestly, they have quality retouchers there. Because on Instagram, it's
Okay.
so many retouchers, and it's also, you get so many DMs like, oh, I'm a retoucher, I can help you out, blah, blah, blah. But usually it's not good quality retouchers. So I would
Right.
recommend going on Behance and looking for retouchers there.
Okay, that's a good tip. And
Yeah.
what would you say makes it a bad retouch versus a good retouch for somebody that doesn't have as much of a trained eye as you?
Yeah, so I would think, so if it's a bad retouch to me is if the skin is too smooth. If we lose the texture of the skin, honestly, I'm like, what's happening here? We need to bring the texture
Yeah,
back at least some. So if there's a good
exactly.
texture and it's not too retouched, the eyes, the eyebrows, the hair, it can't be over retouched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the industry is kind of moving away from an over retouched look. Would you
Oh
agree with
yeah.
that?
Oh,
Like it's more
100%.
natural?
Now, I mean, there's
Yeah.
campaigns with pimples on models' faces, and that's how it is. They don't
Yeah.
touch the skin
Yeah.
at all. Yeah, actually, I know
Right.
this beauty photographer. She used to retouch her work, and it was very nice, like perfect retouching. But now she gets hired for campaigns, and they ask her like no retouching at all. So the campaigns are just
Wow.
bare skin, barely makeup, no retouch.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that so nice? I love that.
It's nice, yeah. It's more natural.
Yeah. When you're quoting for a project, like how did you know what to charge without like undercharging? Do you know what I mean? Or did you make a few mistakes in the beginning where you did feel like you undercharged and then you heard what maybe you could have got? Did you ever run into that situation?
Yeah, so I used to undercharge, as a like beginner, I used to undercharge. When I got out of school, I used to undercharge as well. But then I quickly
Yeah.
learned, I was like, ooh, the amount of work that I'm doing right now, it's not worth it. And this is the worst feeling, is like working under your value. It's something I don't want
Yeah.
to put myself in. So I always set my prices to what it is worth. And I know I'll deliver that quality of work.
what are typical jobs in LA, say like commercial jobs going for these days? Let's say like Prada or something like that. Would you know what
Well,
approximately they would be, their rates would
I
be?
don't know. I don't know for like high fashion. I'm not too sure. Like I know for like if you work in like pharmacy
Okay.
field, that's
Yeah.
when you get 100,000 for the photographer for the photographer alone. You can take one picture,
So
you get
just the
1,000.
photographer.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's like the top paid industries, like per pharmacy, like all the
Okay.
pharmacy stuff. Um, but for everything that's Prada, like high fashion, I'm not sure. Say between 15 and 30,000 for the photographer.
And then the budget for everything else on top of that,
Yeah, I mean it
like the
can go
team
on
and
maybe
yeah,
like
exactly.
200,000, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I
Wow.
know for smaller commercials, it starts at 10,000. At least for me, from
Okay.
my understanding, it means 10,000, yeah.
Yeah.
But then
There's
again,
can be some good money in there.
it can be some great money in commercial. And actually
Hmm.
I've been doing a lot of commercials lately, so it's good. But then it's a lot more
Good.
than just the photography fee. It's also like the usage fee, the licensing that goes into it.
Tell me about that because where I live, I don't necessarily do that, but I would be curious to hear how you charge for that and how that works in LA.
So usually when a client approaches me for a shoot, I usually ask them, what is the usage? Like, what are you going to use the pictures for? Is it for social media? Are you going to put it on a billboard and like in a store? And also like licensing, like for how long you're going to use the images. And it just like helps you like kind of like charge your work to a certain extent.
Hmm.
So I usually like give them like a certain rate for my photography fee, and then I give them a retouching fee, and then I give them like a licensing fee. So let's say they're
Hmm.
like, "Ooh, we have one image we want to use for a storefront." I'm like, "Okay, it's going to be 10,000 for this image." So it
Hmm.
depends. It really depends. And sometimes they're like, "Oh, but we also want full buyout." So when they say that, it means they just want the full rights to the images. So you're basically selling the images with your photography fee.
Okay. Okay.
So that means you would charge more for that
Right.
usage, but then
Yeah.
you're not making extra money.
And how long are your terms usually? Are they like 6 months to a year for
Usually it's 12
usage?
months. 12 months
12
usually.
months. Okay.
hmm
Yeah. How many images do you send off to your client for uh, the projects that you do?
So usually I send them like most of them with
Hmm.
my watermark on them, and then they pick whatever. I never just send all of them like that, unless it's a
Yeah,
buyout.
yeah.
I send them all, and then they pick whatever they want. And honestly, it depends, if it's for a personal project, I usually have like 15 images, 10 to 15 images.
Yeah,
But for clients, sometimes it goes up to 80 images. It really depends.
yeah,
But
right.
each image, they have to pay for the retouching as well. So
Yeah,
it's also more money for me. So I don't mind it,
right.
you know.
What do you mind me asking what you charge for a retouched image?
It depends, like my base fee is $50 an image. But then
Hmm.
it depends if this image is going to be used on a billboard, on a storefront. I'm going to charge a lot more, because a lot
Right.
more work goes into it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still at $50 an image.
So, Joyce, what kind of projects do you have coming up?
So I'm going to work at Coachella for the first time. Uh,
Oh,
very excited. I don't know what to expect. I'm working with this fashion brand, and I'm gonna like shoot like the people creating some really cool like designs out of what they have.
oh,
It's a
that's so
collaboration.
fun.
Yeah, it's a collaboration with Goodwill. I'm not sure if you know Goodwill. So
Yeah. Okay.
I'm very excited about that. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. And
That's awesome. When is Coachella this year?
so I'm going for the second week, which is like April 17th.
That's coming up.
It is in 2 weeks, yes. I'm very
Wow. Have you ever been
excited.
to Coachella before?
No, never. Never.
Wow,
Yes.
that's going to be
But
wild.
it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice because I'm gonna be working all these days. And right after, I
Yeah.
have like a hair commercial I'm shooting. So it's a busy
Fun.
one.
And Joyce, what's next for you? Say, where do you want to see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, that's a great question. So I don't want to limit myself to like being a photographer in LA. Oh, Joyce is the fashion photographer in LA. I want
Mhm.
to travel, and do fashion shoots around the world, like similar to what I did in Kenya. Like it's so
Yeah.
many talented people around the world that are not seen, and I want to document high fashion around the world. So I'm planning on going back to Africa this year, like in South Africa, to do some shoots.
Mhm.
I'm very excited about that. And then also I want to expand my work in France, like to do like more high-end work, because that's where the
Yeah.
houses are. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm planning on going there in June and kind of like step into, the houses and meet people and see if I can do some jobs there. So that's really my goal, to expand myself to other countries and document fashion around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How important is it to you to feel uncomfortable?
Okay, so I love this question. So I love to put myself in uncomfortable situations because I feel like we're not made to just sit in our couch and, be comfortable in our shoes. That's why
Mhm.
I left my country when I was 19 without speaking English, is because I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and really explore the world. Like I feel like I'm a nomad. I just travel everywhere and document what I love. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That yeah, I'm so excited for you. I'm so glad that we were able to connect. How can people get in touch with you or find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Joyce Visuals on Instagram, and I'm Joyce
Okay.
Visuals on actually every platforms. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have a subscription service too,
Yes, I
correct?
do. So I have a subscription service on Instagram, and I actually do videos where I just teach people certain things, like about lighting, about retouching, and all of that. Yeah.
Amazing. I need to subscribe to this. This is
Yeah.
great.
I'm actually
Yeah.
I'm doing like a bundle of 25 videos. So I'm actually almost done doing the 25 videos.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So do you batch them all at once?
No, so I was releasing one once a week, and now
Yeah.
I'm like slowing down, but I'm gonna release them until I get to 25. But it's been very,
Nice.
very helpful, honestly. People have been telling me like, wow, this is really helpful. Yeah.
Good. Oh, that's great. Well, you have a lot of knowledge to offer.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah. Thank
I
you so
also,
much for
yeah, of course.
chatting with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having
Mhm.
me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Art Estate. I hope you found Joyce's story as inspiring as I did. She dropped so many gems on lighting, pitching, and building the kind of career you truly love. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. We've got more incredible and inspiring guests coming your way. And don't forget to check out the show notes for affiliate codes and links to follow both Joyce and myself on Instagram. We'd love to hear what resonated with you most, so feel free to tag us and share your biggest takeaways. Until next time, keep creating and keep chasing those dream projects.